Hi, I'm Rupert.
And I'm Zalia.
And today, our video essay will look at how dystopian texts effectively portray the interplay between the rise of technology and the restriction of individualism.
You know, I think that's really interesting and relevant. One thing that, oftenly comes up within dystopian stories.
Oftenly.
Yeah, oftenly. Is that they will often feature plot lines where technology is used to combat the freedom of real interpersonal relationships.
Indeed.
This is seen in Brave New World, where sex is encouraged, but only as a purely physical act, where any kind of emotional development is shunned upon. When Linda, a world state woman, entered the savage society, she lacked the understanding that maybe sleeping with men who were already in relationships wasn't the best idea. This is a clear result of how her emotional depth had been restricted, which was additionally enforced by the expanding technology within the Brave New World dystopia. From day dot, babies are born in tubes, immediately disconnected from their first and most fundamental relationships, their parents. These babies are incubated to be isolated, sold off to solitude. And, after all, relationships bring worry. And why worry in a world stocked full of sorrow?
When Linda does conceive and birth her own child, however, she forms a genuine human bond with her son, highlighting the contrast between this naturality to love and the world state's stark enforcement of interpersonal disconnect.
George Orwell's novel 1984 has the same principles, except with much harsher policies. Any form of not only family bonds and emotional connection aren't allowed, but sex beyond the purpose of procreation is restricted as well. Interpersonal intimacy threatens the party's control, where the party acts as an authoritarian rule that aims to smash any semblance of autonomy. So, through the use of high-tech cameras, telescreens and advanced surveillance systems, including super-secret and super-snitchy spies, any citizen wanting to get a bit frisky is at risk of torture and even death. When Winston, the protagonist, develops a forbidden affair with Julia, another skeptic of the system, they are quickly found out through the party's technology and tortured to the extent where not only their mutual love is abolished, but also any of their own feelings, their own emotions, their literal ability to love and have relationships are all squeezed out. The theme of technology within relationships extends into the family unit once again, with children encouraged to spy on their parents. Kids act as a constant form of surveillance, hindering the possibility of a genuine, profound, and personal familial bond. Despite the fictional dystopias that these examples portray, the reality of our modern-day world suggests many of the same ideas. The use of social media and porn have increased as a direct result of the rise in technological advancement. This evolution has, like 1984 and Brave New World, negative impacts on real relationships. Social media pushes forward edited bodies, which creates an unrealistic standard of beauty and hence an attraction and affinity towards unattainable ideals. Pornography takes this a step further, and now in the click of a button, people are able to access sexual gratification without seeking it out. This type of media, whilst meant for entertainment purposes, conditions its viewers into normalizing the content shown. And when this content can be alarmingly objectifying, dangerous, and quite often illegal, it is no wonder modern relationships are under threat. Screens are disconnecting us rather than creating bonds, and hence clearly infringe on the liberty of interpersonal developments.
In the dystopian text Brave New World and the real world, we've seen the cause technology creates on restrictions of free will and creativity. As the societies in Brave New World grow technologically, its citizens' freedoms slowly become restricted. These restrictions of freedom are seen in the loss of free will and creativity, as characters are conditioned through enforcement, persuasion, and social norms. In Brave New World, we see children and babies raised in calculated environments, where their thought processes are artificially molded to align with the world controller's beliefs. This activity is the restriction of the most fundamental human nature: free thought and creativity. Without the individual nature of human beings, Brave New World portrays a dystopia where society functions smoothly, yet the creative process of humanity no longer exists freely. We see the effect this has on characters within the story when John attempts to show Helmholtz Shakespearean literature. Helmholtz is an extremely creative person in comparison to the rest of Brave New World, yet his human nature of free thinking is removed from himself throughout conditioning during his life. Because creativity is restricted to the characters in the story, he genuinely cannot understand a different perspective from what has been enforced into his subconscious. The removal of free thought and creativity, caused by the society's conditioning seen in Brave New World, causes the removal of free will and individualism. In the real world, we're watching as the rise of technology begins to restrict the value of creativity and therefore free will. As the new technologies such as artificial intelligence become more prominent and advanced in our society, the reduction of creative jobs becomes more common. We now have technologies capable of doing the works of graphic designers, photographers, artists, writers, and poets for a lesser cost and a quicker production. Technology is becoming more advanced quickly, and as it becomes better at what it does, we've seen the importance of creativity become lessened. Our ideas of free thought and free will have also become more restricted as media and technology work together to curate specific algorithms for us to digest. Social media platforms will target you with specific and biased news depending on your age, gender, sexual identity, and geopolitical location. These algorithms remove the ability to critically build perspective, as your feed is your education, and this education is biased. Over time, we're seeing the rising global polarity caused by this modern form of news, as algorithms slowly remove individual perspectives and ideas. As technology in the previous texts, 1984 and Brave New World, as well as the real world evolve, the restriction of relationships, creativity, and free will are seen. Whether this is through drug advancements, conditioning, and parental disconnect, or thought police and constant surveillance, or social media porn, the higher valuing of AI and algorithms designed biases, the rise of technology is shown to have a direct interplay with the restrictions of individualism.